Hey guys, it's Derek and welcome back to another tech review, and in today's video I'm reviewing this thing. So this is the Opel Mobile Big Button M. This is not your standard phone, and in fact this phone looks like it's a phone that's come out of the 1980s. It's basically a big push button phone, probably without even any internet capability. And the reason I'm reviewing this phone is I actually purchased this phone for my father. And the reason I purchased this for him is because he is significantly visually impaired. Now I'm talking about his eyes are so bad now that he can only make out shadows and shapes. And he's been using an old Windows phone for a while and it's fraught with problems. I think this will actually really help him. So let me explain to you the reason why I've actually chosen a phone such as this rather than phones such as this. Basically, as we all know, this is an iPhone. This is like any other smartphone which has a touch screen. And the problem when people are significantly visually impaired, I'm not talking about people who are mildly visually impaired and they're still able to make out the words and the numbers and the icons and stuff like that. When you're very visually impaired and basically you're legally blind, when you pick up this phone, it's very easy to inadvertently press something. And when you accidentally press something, you have no ability to actually work out what you've done, and you have no ability to actually rectify your problem because there's no physical buttons, there's no reset buttons. Yes, you can swipe up. It's just really quite problematic. Yes, there are physical buttons on the side, and yes, before anyone comes at me, yes, you can use voice on all of these smartphones. But another added problem for my dad is that where he's living at the moment, the Wi-Fi is pretty crappy and he doesn't have a great data plan, and he's just not in a position right now that he's going to want to be paying extra for additional data. And basically he just makes phone calls. His vision is so bad that he doesn't use any of the apps. He doesn't use social media. He's not able to read well enough that he can send or receive emails. But it is really important that he can get in touch with us in case of an emergency, and that's why I got him this phone. This phone compared to this one is like chalk and cheese. This is only a 14 Pro Max. This thing's going to cost about $2,500. Then this one here retails at $117, and we actually got this for $100 because this is a display model and they didn't have any additional ones in stock. I really don't think anyone's even tried to play with this. Who would want to try out this phone? So got it for $100. Hopefully everything's intact in there. Basically, I'm just going to show you what's inside. This reliably, according to the salesperson, takes a micro SIM card. As we all know, the iPhone takes a nano SIM. Inside the box, there's a charger, and the charger is actually a stand. So there's nowhere to actually need to plug it, which is a good thing because if you can't see that well, you're having trouble trying to shove that into something and you can't really find where the hole is. It's better now because of USB-C and Lightning before, because at least there's not an orientation issue and you can just put it in any way you choose and it goes in. The fact that the phone can just sit like that and you don't have to physically plug it in, I give it a thumbs up. In terms of this thing, it is actually USB-C. Surprisingly, it's not some crappy micro USB, it's actually USB-C. It's connected to an adapter like this. That's how you charge your cell phone. So I've got this little thing plugged in now, and the phone will just sit in here and charge its heart out in there, like that. I'm just going to show you this phone. So this is your classic olden day candy bar phone. It's like one of those cordless phones that you have inside the house on your landline, and basically it's got physical buttons. It's got a shitty little camera on the back, which is I think only 2 megapixels. It's got this button, I think it's some sort of SOS, like emergency button. It's got a little screen on the top, which is not touch, and it's got big buttons. And the thing about this phone compared to some of the other ones with physical buttons is there's a little bit of a ridge on all the buttons, so it's slightly elevated. It's not flush, so you can actually feel the buttons if you can't see them. On the number 5 button, there is actually a little divot. It even turns on like an old Nokia phone. So you got to press unlock and then you got to press the asterisk button. This also has a speaker on the back. It's got a little headphone jack. According to the box, it's 4G. So yes, it's not 5G, but I don't think that this thing can go on the internet anyway, so you don't need 5G. It works on any network. It has SOS emergency calls and GPS location. It is hearing aid compatible, which is really useful. It's got a talking keypad option. So I don't know how we can set that on, but that's cool. It's got Bluetooth. So I guess theoretically you can connect your AirPods Max to this and use it as a headset. It's got an FM radio. It's got a 1000 milliamp hour battery. It does have a torch and a 2 megapixel camera, as I said, and it has a 105 decibel loud ringtone. And my dad loves that because sometimes he can't find the phone and he relies on the sound to work out where his phone is. And this is what happens when you lose one of your senses. You have to rely on your other senses to help you get by every day. So I have the manual. Ooh. It even takes a micro SD card. It says, have your SIM ready and set. Please note this phone supports a nano SIM, so it's not a micro SIM. How do you get that off? You've got to lift up at the corner or something like that to take the back off, but I can't get it off. Just is not easy. Oh, there you go. It comes off. There's your battery. It is a replaceable battery. And the SIM card goes, I imagine, maybe under the battery, right there. So it fits a nano SIM and a micro SD card. For the person who sold me this phone and told me that it takes a micro SIM and not a nano SIM, you're wrong. So I'm just going to need to go see if my dad's phone actually has a nano SIM. Otherwise, that's going to be a pain in the butt. Looking at the manual too, it supports up to 32 gigabytes of memory on the micro SD card, so you can't stick like a 128 gigabyte one on here. It's got predictive text. I don't think that that's going to be helpful for my dad because he can't see and he hasn't been able to use text messaging for a while. There's a speed dial, so there's an M1, M2 and M3 keys. So you have a look here, there's M1, M2 and M3. So that's a speed dial, so you can put the 3 most important numbers and that makes it easy because you just press one button and it calls somebody. Sound profiles, so we can have different volumes and people are going to like that because it depends on what situation you are, and some people who are hearing impaired, this will work really well for you. Some of the additional functions of this phone, there's an alarm clock, there's a camera, a video recorder. You can actually play back music files saved on your external SD cards. There is an FM radio, there's a sound recorder, a world clock and a calendar with voice note. There's a schedule, there's a calculator and there's a magnifier tool. It's up to 6 times magnification. There's an emergency SOS. It's designed for people who need to contact the family or close friends by just pressing the SOS button on the back of the phone 3 times. So as this one here, you press it 3 times and then there's a torch. Before I do anything, I think I'm just going to factory reset this phone. As I said, was a display model. So hopefully this video is helping you decide whether this is the type of phone that you would want to get. So I'm just going to power it on by holding the power button for 5 seconds. And you can see it's rebooting Opel Mobile. Just to remind you, this is SIM network unlocked. Everything's reset to 0 now. And I'm gonna go to settings and set this phone up. So to find the settings page, I couldn't figure it out, but you can press menu. And then when you get to menu, you actually see messages. You just use the arrows to scroll up and down. And now I will go through the menu and set stuff up. So go to settings, phone settings, date and time. So I'm gonna set the time. So obviously there's no internet access. So I am going to have to do this manually. I'm going to set the date, which is the 22nd of November, 2023. So that's pretty much it. I haven't decided whether it's worthwhile having this lock thing like with the old phones where if you turn it on, it's locked and you've actually got to press, got the time wrong. You've got to press unlock and then the asterisk key. I don't know if my dad's going to be able to do that easily. I actually don't know whether I should have that on at all. So there's not really that much more to say about this phone. So it's a $100 phone, $117 you pay recommended retail. The good thing about this phone is there's no distractions, there's no internet access, you can't go on apps, you can't go on social media, but it does make phone calls and you can send text messages. And one of the things that are good is I've actually disabled the lock so my dad doesn't have to fiddle with that. And it's got big buttons, it's loud, it's hearing aid compatible, it has a torch. You can set speed dial so the most frequently used contacts can go straight in. Remember, it uses a nano SIM and not a micro SIM. It's got an emergency SOS button, so it's got pretty much all you need to make phone calls, to receive text messages, and if you've got a vision impairment, this could be the phone for you. It doesn't have a touchscreen and I think that's a bonus in this situation. Anyway, thank you for watching. This has been the Opel Big Button M unboxing. If there's any questions, please leave them in the comments below and I'll try to answer them as best I can. I'm going to charge his phone and give it to my dad, but I don't know if the SIM card's going to fit now. Hopefully he finds it easier to use than his current Windows mobile phone. Thank you for watching. Remember to give me a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time in another video. Bye.